Hi everyone, it is so good to see you. Welcome to KREM 2 News at Noon. I'm Laura Papetti. It is 12 o'clock and we begin by talking about the weather. Thomas, yesterday I talked about how cold my little Frenchie was, Ginger. This morning when we walked, much warmer today, or at least going in that direction.
Yeah, and even just 5 degrees warmer feels the part. Sunshine certainly helps with that. We'll note, we did just look at the camera out in Coeur d'Alene, got just a bit cloudier. No worries whatsoever, but we might have a moment of some cloudiness right during the noon hour here. Just appears to be some darker stratus that's in the skies at the moment. That is not going to be all too worrisome outside. It just looks like it's right about there, just kind of hugging the I-90 corridor. It is moving towards the south and southeast, but you see there's actually no snow out of this. So just a little passing cloud cover, and that'll be all she wrote for today. So like I said, kind of no worries. And once the sunshine pops back out, we'll be into the low 30s for this afternoon. Pretty easygoing day, and we even started the day about 5 degrees warmer than we were yesterday, and the sunshine will help us stay near the freezing mark for afternoon high temperatures. Again, a little sunshine can always go a long way in the winter time. The only thing we're not getting this winter, at least not this week, is the snowfall. Do you see where it is? It is on the exact wrong side of the country. That's right, all the way down towards the Gulf Coast in the southeastern U.S. This is where the worst of the winter weather has been located as of today. So coming up, I'll give you the latest on the snowfall reports that are breaking records that are absolutely unprecedented and historic in this region of the country, but also fill you in on our local forecast all at the same time.
Thomas, thank you. Unusual weather today here locally marks the start of the point-in-time count in Spokane, where data is being collected on homelessness. This helps secure funding for resources like affordable housing. The data is sent to the Washington State Department of Commerce and the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. If you are interested in helping with the count, you can visit the website. We've posted that at the bottom of your screen. Now, a warming shelter in North Idaho is preparing for the worst as weather is forcing more people to use their resources in order to avoid those sub-zero temperatures. KREM 2's Connor McAvoy reports from an overnight shelter in Post Falls.
Right behind me is the St. Vincent de Paul warming shelter. It's the only overnight warming shelter in all of Kootenai County, and staff say that with the restricted number of beds they have, that means that some people may have to be turned away.
It makes a big difference for those of us like me, because I'd be having to sleep out on the streets.
Lila Hunt is a regular visitor of the St. Vincent de Paul warming shelter. She came to Idaho from Helena, Montana, where she says the resources she needed during the winter were few and far between.
And it was getting colder and colder, so I'm very blessed to have hooked up with this here.
The warming shelter now has a 25-person capacity compared to its previous 60-person capacity. The previous St. Vincent de Paul warming shelter used to hold that many people before rising maintenance costs forced them to move below St. Vincent de Paul housing.
As the winter nights get colder, we'll be at capacity guaranteed.
Executive Director Scott Ferguson says in the past the shelter opened once temperatures reached 28 degrees or lower. He says thanks to community donations, they've been able to open their shelter at 33 degrees or lower this year, at a time when he says the need is growing.
What we notice is that the waiting line, as folks are lining up to receive access to this resource, is getting longer and longer. And so we are being very intentional to make sure that we can work with our community to keep it open as long as possible.
As long as possible for people like Hunt.
I feel a real sense of security being able to stay here.
A sense of security the shelter wants to preserve. Staff say anyone who is turned away by the shelter will be directed to the Northern Idaho Crisis Center. They'll provide transportation for anybody who needs it. In Post Falls, Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
It is President Trump's first full day of a second term in office. Shortly after taking the oath of office as the 47th president, he signed a record number of executive actions. He also issued broad pardons for defendants who attacked the Capitol on January 6th. When asked why, Trump made claims the FBI played a role in instigating the attack.
There were outside agitators involved, and obviously the FBI was involved.
President Trump issued a host of executive actions again on his first day in office, including pulling the United States out of the Paris Climate Accords. The president then moved towards denying birthright citizenship. Lastly, Trump said he is firing more than 1,000 political appointments from across the government in a social media post late last night.
Full
People in Seattle and Tacoma held rallies yesterday protesting President Trump's inauguration. The groups involved talked about protecting the environment, defending women's reproductive rights, and opposing deportations.
Right now, probably deportations. That's it's gonna hurt the economy, and it's gonna hurt a lot of people's livelihoods and people's families, and it's gonna kind of tear up communities, and that's just not what America's about, you know.
We're not gonna have a kind of open book, open border policy. I think we're going to have enforced borders again. And I know that's controversial in some circles, but again, it's supporting the rule of law.
And Washington Democrats tell our Seattle station they remain committed to liberty, civil rights, and government by and for the people. It is 12:06 right now. A Washington State University student is in the Whitman County Jail after an alleged stabbing. Campus police responded to reports that a 20-year-old man had been stabbed in the leg. Yesterday, investigators then arrested a 20-year-old woman for the incident. The WSU student was booked into Whitman County Jail on second-degree assault charges. The victim was taken to the hospital, but there refused treatment.